Today, let's talk science, specifically BJU Science and MasterBooks Science. We're going to be comparing these two curricula, and there's some differences and there's some similarities, so please stick around. Hey, I'm Jennifer. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time. On my channel, we talk about all things homeschool and quite a few curricula comparisons. It's one of the things that I really like doing. I like doing the research. I like finding out similarities and differences and sharing those with you. So today we are going to talk about the BJU Science and MasterBooks Science. You will notice that BJU, I have the 6th grade science book, and then we have the Heaven and Earth for MasterBooks. And when we get into the video, I'll explain why I just have the one MasterBooks here with the BJU. A couple things to note before we get started is BJU Science is truly a general science. So you're going to see quite a few different topics, whereas MasterBooks has separated them into different books for the various topics. So that is one of the big differences that you're going to see today. If videos like this are what you like, then please give us a thumbs up so that we know and we can make some more of them. So turn the camera around and get started. The first thing that I want to point out is that BJU has the Science 6 textbook, and then we will talk about the additional materials as well. But Science 6 is targeted for the 6th grade. For MasterBooks, with their God's Design series, it is targeted for 3rd through 8th grade. And so when you are looking at the 6th grade, because I want to compare the 6th grades together, their 6th grade you would do the activity, test your knowledge by answering the what did we learn questions, and then you talk about the taking it farther questions. But then they also have this do the challenge. So that's for the 6th through 8th grade. So for anything that we're going to be discussing today, we will also be discussing the do your challenge as well as the remainder of what is in the MasterBooks curriculum. Just for your knowledge, these first 3 are what you do whether you're in 3rd through 5th grade or 3rd through 8th grade, and then 6th, 7th, and 8th have this additional challenge. But let's just start with showing you that the BJU is a general science class. So for example, what I did here is I took each of the different units within the BJU and highlighted which of the MasterBooks science curricula would be utilized. So for example, you have 2 where the Heaven and Earth will be utilized, 2 of these units. It would be the Heaven and Earth for MasterBooks, 3 for the God's Design Life, and then within this BJU unit number 3, there's some of this information is in the chemistry and ecology, and then also some of the other information is within your physical world. So you have a total of 4 different MasterBooks curricula that some of the information is addressed within this BJU general science. Now, obviously, it's a different amount. You know, there's more detailed for each of the different areas within the MasterBooks, but just to give you a little bit of an apples to apples comparison. So within MasterBooks, for each one of their different God's Design for Life portions of their series, you would have the textbook, and then you have the teacher's guide, and the teacher's guide contains your schedule, worksheets, quizzes and tests, and the answer keys. So that's all within this teacher's guide. Now, I don't have everything that BJU has with theirs, but within theirs, you have the teacher's guide with the CD-ROM on it. Let me just find my page and we can look at pictures. You have the student text, then you have the activity manual, you have the Teacher's Toolkit CD, and that is included in the Teacher's Guide. And then you also have your tests and answer key. Now, BJU does have an online portion, so you could do an online with your books, and that's $329 right now. Or you can do the full kit without it being online, and that is $148.25 currently, or you can purchase the pieces individually. As a comparison with MasterBooks right now, the set, which includes your textbook and your teacher's guide for each of the various units, are going for about $66.59, or you can purchase them separately with the text at $39.99 and then the teacher's guide at $31.99. So let's just walk through some of the pieces included within the curriculum, and then we will look at a specific lesson from the Science 6 guide and then Heaven and Earth, where we're comparing the materials. First, let's look at the text. Within BJU, this is full color. So it's a full color textbook, and then you have within each of the units, you'll have reading. So this is more of your traditional textbook because there is quite a bit of reading for each chapter. And then you have a quick check. Do you understand what you were reading? And then you have an additional information, and then you have a quick check for that. And then you have an activity, and then we're back to the reading with the quick check. So that's just an example of what you will see there. For MasterBooks, they have words to know and then challenge words. So again, for 6th grade, it would be all of these words. And then you have some reading, full color as well. Then the what did we learn questions, taking it further. And anytime you see this green box, that is considered a challenge. And so again, the 6th graders are expected to work on these challenges and to know the materials that are included in that. So then you have a couple more pages, and you have activity, and then you're on to your next couple pages of reading. Now, that is just a really quick look at the individual textbooks. We're going to come back to this later, but I want to walk through a couple of the other pieces. So let's look at the teacher's manual. So what I did was I just went online, and BJU has a sample chapter of the teacher's manual, and I printed that off. Now it is in full color, so that is very nice. MasterBooks is not in full color. Both have lesson plan overviews. So this is your MasterBooks, and then obviously this is for BJU. With BJU, you have your lesson number, the teacher's edition, student text, activity manual, your objectives, and then the skills. For MasterBooks, it is the week, and then MasterBooks is set up as 4 days per week, and then just due dates and your grade. So here within this section is where it will tell you that what you need to read, God's Design, Heaven and Earth. So that would be the textbook, and then here's the worksheets within your teacher's guide. Thing to note is that you're looking, your very first chapter within BJU is earthquakes and volcanoes, but then at MasterBooks, we're not doing earthquakes and volcanoes until towards the very end of the textbook. So for earthquakes and volcanoes, you are going to have 15 lessons, which includes the test. So 15 lessons on earthquakes and volcanoes. Both pieces really tell you how they have designed the curriculum to be taught. So for example, within God's Design, Heaven and Earth, it tells you how to teach science, teaching creation versus evolution, integrating the 7 C's. The BJU Teacher's Manual, they talk about how they have a Christian worldview in science. This is the different pieces that are included in the Science 6 curriculum, and then they go into the text and features. So what they have done here is within the Teacher's Manual, you're going to have a picture of the page in the student's guide, in the student's text, and then they're going to tell you the important information to bring out, as well as introduce the discussion activities. BJU has the information for the assessment and grading, and then for the grading within MasterBooks, they have on each section of their tests how much each points are supposed to be. And so within the test, there will be the general test that everyone is taking, and then there's these challenge questions which a sixth grader should take. And so that's going to be your test. In the teacher's manual, they have the answer key for the worksheets, then also your tests and quizzes. That is all included within this teacher's manual. And so it's a different purchase for BJU. One thing to note with the lesson plans is BJU is set up for 180 lessons. And again, I mentioned that MasterBooks is set up so that you do not have a Friday lesson. So it's set up for no Friday. So it is for 9 weeks with 4 days a week. So 144 days is what they are planning. The CD-ROM will include the lessons, visuals, quizzes, rubrics to evaluate the activities, information, and the activity manual answer key. That's all within this teacher's manual. So let's just take a sample lesson so that we can walk through both of them and see a little bit more about what each of the different curricula are providing and asking of you. So for example, earthquakes. So within the earthquakes, you you're going to have 1 page, 2 pages, 3 pages to read. Then you have this activity, which everyone will do, because again, MasterBooks is set up so that you can teach this to a 3rd through 8th grader. So if you have 2 children or more, this is set up that you can utilize this for all of them, where everyone would do this blue activity, and then your 6th through 8th graders would do the green activity. So again, we have 1, 2, 3 pages. Then we have the what did we learn, taking it further, and then you have this activity. Then we also have the next chapter is directly related to detecting and predicting earthquakes. So again, you have 2 pages to read for that day, and then you will be making a seismograph, and then you have information down here for the challenge. So now let's look at the material and the amount of information that is included within the BJU on earthquakes and volcanoes. So we had mentioned prior that we have 14 lessons plus our test for this unit on earthquakes and volcanoes. So we will start off with our general information talking about earthquakes. Again, we see some of the same basic diagrams. Then we have our quick checks. So we have those questions in both of them. We're talking about San Andreas Fault. Then we talk about earthquake waves, detecting earthquakes, which again was another section that MasterBooks had as well. So this construction site, this is going to be your activity. Materials that you need are listed, and then there's the procedure. So now we're talking about volcanoes. So it's the same basic. Then we're going to create the eruption, which the model of the volcano was the same basic principle as what was in MasterBooks, one of the things that they were asking to do. And then there's also this exploration, which is within the activity manual, which we will look at briefly. Okay. At the end of BJU, they have the words to know. Now, were mentioned within MasterBooks, these words to know are at the beginning of each of the individual lessons. So that information is here at the end of the lesson. So that gives you a basic idea of the amounts of information that is in each of the textbooks. Okay, let's take a look at the activity sheets. Again, within MasterBooks, the activity sheets are included in the teacher's guide. The activity sheets for BJU will be a separate purchase, or it comes with the kit, and they are full color, whereas the activity sheets for MasterBooks, black and white, full color for BJU. So I just really encourage you that if you're interested in either one of these curricula, to go onto the publisher's website. They will permit you to have a free download of some of their materials so that you can see kind of sample pages, but we'll get right into these activity sheets. So for earthquakes, for MasterBooks, you have your what did we learn questions, and then you also have, then you'll have the taking it further questions. Then we do the earthquake proof buildings, find out about those. Then for the next lesson, you'll do the what did we learn questions, then the taking it further, and then we're into volcanoes. What did we learn? Taking it further. And within each one of these, there's the supply list. You have your supply list for the activity that everyone is supposed to do, and then you also have your supply list for the challenge activity. Within BJU, you have these questions where you're going to have 10 questions where you choose the correct term, and then you will have your short answer. You'll talk about the faults as well as not only identify them, but then also provide information. You look at the epicenter, locating the epicenter. So this is an activity with a compass. Then you have your study guide. And then you do an experiment. Now, the experiment for MasterBooks is included in this book, in your textbook. So it does list, this is your experiment of what they want you to do. So those are normally in either blue or the green boxes. So for example, here's your green boxes where you need modeling clay and a knife to just demonstrate the 3 kinds of faults. So you're going to find the actual experiments within the textbook of MasterBooks, and then they do talk about them within the textbook of BJU, and then they have additional information within your activity manual. Right, so then we have our science experiment. Then you're designing a building that can withstand an earthquake, and then also on MasterBooks, you talk about earthquake-proof buildings. So it is very similar with the main points that they want you to come away with. And again, we have some more information. Do the location of volcanoes. So now we're over here into volcanoes. And so one of the differences that I have noticed is that BJU wants you to write down basically all of the different steps that you're taking, whereas MasterBooks kind of just wants you to take the steps. So for example, where we're making the volcano, they're wanting you to like list the materials that you need for the volcano, list the materials you need for the eruption, draw your design, and then you have record what my volcano shape is blank, record the information from your trial solutions, and then erupt your volcano. Then for MasterBooks, when you are doing your volcano, okay. So here you are making to model it. So this tells you what you need to do. Place the empty bottle in the center of the baking sheet, 1 teaspoon of baking soda into the bottle, and then pour the vinegar into the bottle, so etc. So they're telling you what you need to do, whereas BJU is more of write down all of the steps that you're planning to take and then take them. So then we have the conclusions. Now we have a study guide for the student for your quizzes and tests. Now, MasterBooks does not have study guides, BJU does. So this is the review. Then we have this invent, and so this is what I mentioned earlier, is the Institute of National Volcanic Exploration and New Technology. So that is your invent assignment. Over here in the book, here is your invent. So here's where we're talking about the invent assignment. So that is the last page within the book, and then it says follow the procedure in your activity manual. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you joining me, and I hope that you have learned something that you can incorporate in your homeschool. If you have any specific questions, please drop those down in the comments and I will answer them to the best of my ability. And if this is something that you like seeing, if this is the content that you like seeing, give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I hope that you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you next time.